Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Vorse. So what does it mean to be a Catholic, a solidly faithful Catholic? Clearly, there's a large disagreement over that very question in the church these days, as witnessed by the non-stop embarrassing revelations that the USCCB, the Bishops' Conference, is giving huge sums of money to various community organizing groups that push the Democratic Party's culture of death. The question has arisen, what is it to be a Catholic? See, this strikes at the very heart of Catholic identity. And a good case can be made, as famous convert Marcus Grodi makes, that the Catholic Church in America has, from its very beginnings, set out on a course of accommodation, accommodating the larger society's values and not being Catholic enough. So the Church in America looks very Protestant these days in many ways. It sounds very Protestant in its unofficial speak. The constant push, for example, for ecumenism, almost at the sacrifice of any substantive Catholic identity, is a case in point. You see, if there's some, any great big social cause, there you will find Catholics, lay and clerics alike, marching through the streets, banners and all. Not necessarily a bad thing, but what you don't find is a dedication as enthusiastic to things specifically Catholic, hallmarks of Catholicism. For example, despite the horrible, truly unscientifically verifiable claims about global warming, church leaders and church groups, one after another, are jumping on the bandwagon of eco-spirituality at the sacrifice or near ignoring of the spiritual. See, here's a classic example. This piece of work was published by the Archdiocese of Washington, D.C., that seeks to encourage using Lent as a time to, get this, reduce your carbon footprint. And yes, I'm dead serious. It's called, as you can see, the Lenten Carbon Fast, and it has such wonderful spiritual advice as, for example, unscrewing a light bulb for 40 days, taking a shower instead of a bath, using a feather and putting it under a door to see if you're letting any heat escape, putting a lid on boiling pots. I've got an idea what to put a lid on. See, this is just a classic example, taking the spiritual and polluting it with the profane. I'm sure these are all good suggestions if the science backed it up, which it doesn't, by the way. But regardless of the science, what does this have to do with advancing spirituality? How does taking a shorter shower help get you to heaven? If the brains behind this had this idea because this has some connection to the environment, and we are stewards of creation, and this kind of ubiquitous link somehow makes this spiritual, fulfilling some divine mandate to take shorter showers, then they need to go back to catechism class. This combining of the spiritual with the profane is exactly what the Catholic Church in America has done for over 200 years. Accommodation. It's the same logic that allows the Bishops' Conference to fund groups that support abortion and so-called same-sex marriage and euthanasia, etc. When you mix the sacred with the profane is not elevated. Instead, the sacred takes it in the teeth. The job of the sacred is to elevate the profane up to where it is, not step into the gutter with it and thus become contaminated itself. This is precisely what has happened in America with the Catholic Church. In the rush to be accepted by a secular culture which rejects the faith for either theological reasons or cultural reasons or both, the faith itself has been damaged and tens of millions of souls, think about that, have been deprived of the beauty of Catholicism. But our blessed Lord himself gave us clear warning with this. He said, as recorded in Matthew's Gospel, "Do not give what is holy to dogs or throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn and tear you to pieces." Well, the first part of that has already been done. Now it's time to stand up and be Catholic before we get torn to pieces any more than we already have. I'm Michael Vorse.
Please help us keep delivering these kinds of messages that so desperately need to be heard and acted on. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber. Become immersed in the faith established by Jesus Christ. The Catholic Church is the only hope against evil because that is its God-given mission. As our Lord said, "Apart from me, you can do nothing." Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber and come to learn and love Christ more deeply.